So, the topic of discussion today is belief. So, are you going to believe everything I'm going to say? I believe so. So, let me start with a story. I love stories. Do you enjoy stories?
Yeah.
How many of you enjoy stories? So, long time ago, in ancient Israel, two armies stood facing each other, hungry for battle and victory. The problem was they were in a deadlock situation. And in ancient warfare, there was this protocol that instead of having a full-fledged battle and causing mindless bloodshed, one warrior from each side would come to the center and they would fight it out. And whoever wins between these two, their army wins the battle. So from the first side walks out this giant of a man. He's 6 foot 9 inches tall, he's massive, he's carrying a spear and a sword and a shield, and he's covered in armor from his head to his toe, only leaving a little bit of his face visible. His mere sight is very scary. Nobody's ever defeated him in combat. He's unconquerable. His name is Virat. And he comes to the center of the battlefield and screams to the other side that, "Send me your greatest warrior, so I may deliver him to death." And everybody on the other side is scared. Nobody's willing to come forward. And then something very interesting happens. This little shepherd boy comes forward and tells his king, "I'll go and fight Goliath." And everybody's laughing and shocked. The king looks at this boy, no armor, no sword, but no fear either. And the king has no choice. So the king says, "All right, here, take a sword, take a shield, and go and fight." He says, No, I've never used a sword. I don't know how to use a shield. Don't worry, I'll be fine." And all he does is he picks up 5 stones and puts them in his pocket. And he goes out in the middle. And his name is David. And Goliath sees this little shepherd boy coming forward and is insulted. He says, "Come on, send me a worthy opponent. This is a joke, this is a kid." What Goliath misses is what David is doing, why he's coming forward to fight. So he has a sling with a little pouch and he's swinging his sling and it's picking up pace. And when David is just a few feet away from Goliath, he takes his aim and releases his stone. And it goes with super high velocity and hits Goliath right in the center of the eyebrows, his most vulnerable area. Knocks him down instantly. And then David runs, takes Goliath's sword and slits his throat. Research now tells us, so many years later, that expert slingers, if they released that stone the right way, it could travel as fast as a bullet released from a .45 caliber handgun. Goliath actually had no chance in front of David. But that's not how we read the situation. Everybody there was convinced that Goliath is going to win. Because they were expecting David to come and fight hand to hand. David had no such plans. But everybody there believed that Goliath will kill David. David believed he can win. Something very similar happened in India about 350 years ago, where another giant of a man, that's David and Goliath on the screen. Another giant of a man in India challenged another person who was much shorter, much leaner, to a secretly laid out death trap. And this short, brave man not only beats the death trap, but manages to defeat this giant. And this brave man started when he was 16 years old. He conquered his first fort when he was 16. Went on to become one of the greatest warrior kings India has ever seen, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. All his life, he routinely fought armies which were 2 or 3 times bigger than his army, were far more sophisticated in weaponry, had more resources, and he routinely beat them. So much so that his Galili Kawa, or guerrilla warfare tactics, amaze modern armies till date. Where is this belief coming from? How come Shivaji believed he could do this? The odds were not in their favor. How come David believed he could do this? It's interesting, isn't it? Because we tend to believe that Joe, obviously Virat, the bigger guy, the more powerful company, the company with the maximum resources or wealth, is going to win. And the world is full of examples, both in warfare, in sports, in entrepreneurship, of the underdog beating the favorite. To me, so I was just asking myself this question before I came over here. So what is belief? In fact, the journey, it's so nice to prepare for a talk. You go through your own journey, and that is very interesting. So what I thought, to me, belief is faith plus effort. Faith is the primary driver, but without effort, you can't do much. Effort over a period of time becomes ability or a competence or a skill. But a lot of people out there have the ability, they have the competence, but they lack faith. And that's why they never venture into the unknown. See, do you realize you need to believe when you don't know? When do you need to believe? When you're not sure. Can you say, oh, I believe I can drink a glass of water? No, you know you can. The whole thing about belief is it's required only when you don't know. And for that, you need faith to venture into the unknown. Of course, if you have a lot of faith but no effort, there's no value. Effort fueled by faith has a lot of value. Faith minus action has no value. So to me, when these two things come together, faith and sincere effort, then you experience the peak of this emotion called belief. Okay, let me ask you a question. How many of you here have ever been in a situation where you had to call upon your power of belief? You took on something, you weren't sure, and you had to really invoke that belief to go ahead and do it. Whether you succeeded or failed, that's a different story. But how many of you have been in that situation? Give me a show of hands. Great, congratulations. Because you've done something remarkable. You know what you've done? You've managed to step out of your comfort zone into the courage zone via the vehicle of belief. See, belief does not guarantee success. Belief only guarantees faith and effort and hope. But to even take this step is remarkable because most people don't. A lot of people out there never take this step of coming out of their comfort zone. You know what you find in comfort zone? What would you find in comfort zone? Comfort. And what do you find in the courage zone? Growth. And for that, you need to believe and take that step. And unless you do that, no amount of motivational talks and even TEDx will help. Unless you make that step into the courage zone via belief. Most people don't. It's tragic. They sit with this pool of ability, but they never know their true potential because they want to play it safe. Isn't it? वो एक शेर है, मंजिल तो मिल ही जाएगी भटकते हुए ही सही, मंजिल तो मिल ही जाएगी भटकते हुए ही सही, गुमराह तो वो है जो घर से निकले ही नहीं. They've never stepped out. They've never taken a risk. Something very interesting happened with my life. When I was 30 years old, I was driving with my then boss, and suddenly he made me the offer to become the CEO of the company. It was a very humbling experience. I wasn't ready for it, but he offered me the CEOship. It was a small company, but it was a very profitable company. And I used to love my work. I have immense respect for my boss. He was family then, he's family now also. But that's not what I wanted to do in life. And that offer forced me to think, what is it that I really want to do with my life? So I went back to my boss and I declined the offer. In fact, I ended up quitting my job And I decided to dedicate my life to social service and spirituality. And that was a leap of faith Pro Max Plus, because it was really not so easy. And that is where you really need to stir up that belief. Yeah. You're willing to take that chance. Because you might fail, but it'll give you habits. And I'm so happy that I did it. And you will have these moments in your life where you will need to, and nobody else can do this for you, you will need to sit with yourself and ask yourself this question: what do I believe in? And what am I willing to put on the line for that? If you really believe in it, you will go ahead and take that chance. Isn't it? It's very interesting if you look at these two words, possibility and probability. Now typically लोग क्या करते हैं? जिस चीज का probability high है, उसको possible समझते हैं. Isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so I'll go here because the probability of this happening is good. Success is almost guaranteed. It's possible. And if the probability is low, they say ये नहीं होने वाला है. It's deemed impossible. Isn't it? That's one key difference between leaders and non-leaders. Leaders will look at a situation, and even if it is low on probability, if they believe in it, they will go ahead and do it, and they will make it possible. Isn't it? That's how leaders think. Even if it is low on probability, I'm going to do it if I believe in it. And then, if it becomes possible, they become legends. Any time in the world, somebody has really believed in themselves and gone ahead and done this, they have made the world a better place. Thank God, Sachin Tendulkar and Ratan Tata and Jack Ma and Maharana Pratap did what they believed in. Isn't it? Because it's very sad if a 60-year-old man wakes up one morning and feels, shucks man, I should have done what I believed in back then. You don't get a second chance. When this happens, stories are created. They say if you believe you can do it, you are right. If you believe you cannot do it, you are right. Reality is only restricted by your belief. And we have seen time and over again how this plays in real life. This is not just some philosophy, some concept. This is how the world actually works. Somebody was quoting Steve Jobs. There are some crazy people who think they can change the world, and they actually do. Okay, I want to change the discussion a little bit, take you way back in time, thousands of years ago. There lived a mind scientist in India called Maharishi Patanjali. India was way ahead of its time back then. All these rishis and munis were really amazing scientists. Patanjali is the father of yoga and gave us the Yoga Sutras. And one interesting concept in the Yoga Sutras is when you're struggling with something, look at the exact opposite of that and approach it from the exact opposite point of view. So I thought I'll try that here. So, what is the exact opposite of belief? Is belief. Doubt, isn't it? Yeah? Doubt is a very interesting thing. Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankar ji says something very beautiful about doubt, and let me ask you that as a question. So it's an important question. Think and answer. Are you ready? Say yes, no, something. Yes. Otherwise, Indian students have mastered this art of sleeping with their eyes open, especially 2 years of Zoom training. What do you doubt? Good things or bad things? Good things or bad things? Good things, isn't it? Somebody comes and tells you, I love you. You go, really? Are you sure? Somebody comes and tells you, I hate you. Do you ever ask, really? Are you sure that you hate me? Bad taste. Do you do that? No. You doubt your happiness. Do you ever doubt your sorrow? Do you doubt your abilities? Do you ever doubt your inabilities? No. So the first thing to know about doubt is that doubt is always about something positive. There are 3 types of doubts. Doubt in yourself, doubt on the mechanism, the process, the tool, the path, and then doubt on the bigger forces, the divinity, the world. And all three doubts are going to bring your energy down. See, when you eliminate the doubt, what you're left behind with is belief. Actually, you are born with this phenomenon called belief. It's not alien. Nobody teaches a small child to believe his mother. It's inbuilt. See, you go and sit in an aircraft. Don't you believe that the pilot is going to do his job? Do you go to the pilot and say, "Nahi, pehle degree dikha." तो online exam वाला है क्या COVID वाला? You believe. You go to a doctor, random stranger. You believe him with your life. There's this joke. This doctor comes to the patient a few minutes before the operation. He looks at him and says, "Don't worry, Praveen. Everything will be all right." Says this 2-3 times. The patient says, "Doc, my name is not Praveen." He says, "I know. Mine is. It's my first operation." Every dog had the first operation, right? How come you believe a random stranger, but you don't believe yourself? It's quite fun, isn't it? So next time, what do you need to do? Doubt your doubts. And even if you doubt, that's all right. Go ahead and take action. Okay, let me ask you this. Where is belief? Is it in the stomach? Is it in the liver? Where is belief? It's in the mind, yes or no? Where is lack of belief? Also in the mind. Yeah? Interestingly, we don't know much about the mind. Your biggest enemy or your best friend is your own mind. But how do you deal with the mind? The mind is so slippery. So the password to this gadget called the mind is meditation. No matter how alien or abstract this sounds to you, this is the only way to access the mind. Because if the mind is stressed, it'll doubt everything. It'll doubt everybody. All relationships, all opportunities. But if the mind is relaxed and focused, it'll start believing even in remote opportunities where the probabilities are low. Yeah? Meditation is training the mind to believe. Because belief is your superpower. Now, one last thing I'm going to tell you is not so much about your own belief. Belief is a superpower, right? What did Spider-Man tell us about great powers? With great power comes great responsibility. So it's your and my responsibility to make sure that we make other people believe in themselves. It's very important that you go and tell your family, your friends, your colleagues, the world out there, that you believe in them. Go and tell them, "You can do this. I'm with you." This one statement can change your life. So just believe in yourself, but more importantly, make sure that you spread this belief in other people. Can you do that? Yeah. Small, something very small, but do it today. Share your belief. Make other people believe in themselves. That way you will believe in yourself even more. And then it's a win-win cycle. So belief is a superpower. Welcome to the world of meditation.